right, let's be honest here, Bills fans. This season has been one giant puzzle, and every time we think we've got a piece to fit, it somehow changes shape. It's been wild, frustrating, confusing, and somehow still hopeful all at once. You look at this Buffalo Bills team, and you just can't quite figure them out. One week, they're punching heavyweights like the Chiefs in the mouth, looking like true Super Bowl contenders. The next week, they can't seem to get out of their own way against the Dolphins. It's like two completely different teams sharing the same locker room. A lot of that inconsistency starts with the injuries, no question about it. Dalton Kincaid, for example. The guy has been absolutely essential to this offense. When he's on the field, Josh Allen looks comfortable, the offense flows, and the passing game opens up in a way that feels unstoppable. But when Kincaid's been sidelined, first with the oblique issue, now with the hamstring, the whole rhythm falls apart. The Bills lose their safety valve, that dependable target who stretches the defense and keeps the chains moving. You can see it on the tape. Drive stall, spacing collapses, and Allen starts forcing plays that just aren't there. Now, some people will point out that Josh Allen's still producing. The numbers look solid, sure, but if you're watching the games, you know the stats don't paint the full picture. The offense feels out of sync. It's like they're trying to run a high-efficiency system with the wrong parts. And as much as we love Josh's hero ball moments, the crazy scrambles, the deep bombs, the improvisation, those same instincts can sometimes be the problem. Clean pockets are getting abandoned too quickly, open receivers are being overlooked, and turnovers keep showing up at the worst possible times. This offense is supposed to be built on precision and rhythm, not chaos and rescue missions. But the deeper issue here might be how hard it's been to really read this team all season. One week, they're the darlings of the league. The next, they're a question mark. Go back to that Ravens matchup. For 3 quarters, they looked completely lost, and then suddenly in the fourth quarter, everything clicked. They followed that up with some solid wins, but the warning signs were already flashing. Sloppy execution, unnecessary penalties, and some soft spots in the defense started creeping in. Then came those losses to the Falcons and Patriots, games where the offense looked predictable, the turnovers piled up, and the defense couldn't bail them out. And just when you start to lose faith, they come out of the bye week and absolutely demolish the Panthers. You think, okay, maybe this is it. Maybe this is the spark. But deep down, you knew it wasn't a complete performance. The passing game still looked shaky. They took advantage of a backup quarterback, and it didn't feel sustainable. Then the Bills go out and beat the Chiefs, and for a moment, the entire fan base starts believing again. You start thinking, here we go, this is the version we've been waiting for. And then the Dolphins game happens, and we're right back to square one. The same offensive inconsistency, the same defensive vulnerabilities, the same feeling of déjà vu that's haunted this team for years. That's been the theme of the season, uncertainty. Every time it feels like they're about to take that next step, something drags them backward. And it's not like the team is bad. They're 6-3, which is nothing to sneeze at. There's still plenty of football left. But you can't shake the sense that this team is still chasing something it should have already caught. Bills fans aren't looking for another season of maybe. We've seen the flashes. We've seen this team win big games, put together hot streaks, and climb back into contention. But we've also seen the endings. We've seen what happens when those lulls and inconsistencies show up in January. That's what everyone's anxious about. Not the record, but the pattern. What fans wanted this season was dominance, not doubt. We wanted that killer instinct, that version of the Bills that could roll through teams with authority and leave no room for debate. A real run at the #1 seed. A playoff stretch that doesn't end in heartbreak. And yet, here we are again, trying to talk ourselves into hope while the same concerns keep surfacing. The more time passes without that breakthrough, the more restless everyone gets. You can feel in the fan base. You can feel it in every post-game press conference, in every "what's wrong with the offense" segment on TV. It's the same question we've been asking for years. When does this team finally get over the hump? Even outside the Bills community, there's a strange divide. Talk to neutral fans, and most of them think the Bills are fine. They'll tell you it's just regular season football. that what matters is how they look in January. And honestly, that's not wrong. But inside Bills Nation, the energy feels different. It's not panic, it's impatience. People are tired of waiting for the team to figure out. There's a sense that this core group, led by Josh Allen, should already have turned that corner. Every missed opportunity, every slow start, every turnover just adds to that growing frustration. And it's not like there's a single villain here. Injuries have been brutal, no doubt. When you're missing guys like Kincaid, when role players are being forced into responsibilities they can't handle, it messes with the chemistry. Take Keon Coleman, for instance. He's a talented young receiver, but right now, he's being asked to fill a role that just doesn't fit him. The Bills want him to be that big, physical X receiver, the kind of guy who could dominate matchups like a Cortland Sutton or a George Pickens. But that's not who he is yet. Forcing him into that role doesn't just hurt his development. It throws the entire passing rhythm off balance. And when the offense loses its balance, the ripple effect hits everything. Josh starts pressing. The line protection gets tested. Drives stall. And defenses can smell the blood in the water. Suddenly, Allen's getting more pressure, fewer clean looks, and every mistake feels magnified. The frustrating part is that the solution seems obvious. The Bills need to lean more on guys like Curtis Samuel and Elijah Moore. Both of them have the kind of speed and separation ability this offense desperately needs right now. Yet somehow, they've been treated like afterthoughts. Coleman and Shavers are seeing tons of snaps, while Samuel and Moore can barely get consistent looks. It makes no sense, especially when you know these are players who've proven they can produce at this level. And then there's Gabe Davis. Look, he's not a superstar, but he's had big-time moments with Josh Allen, especially in the postseason. We've seen him rise up in huge games and deliver when it matters most. At this point, you have to give him more chances because, honestly, the bar to outperform the current wide-out rotation isn't very high. The Bills don't need miracles. They need functionality. They need rhythm. And that starts with getting the right personnel in the right roles. Still, the question lingers. Are we overreacting? Maybe a little. But it's hard not to when this team has been such an enigma. They've shown us enough brilliance to make us believe, but also enough inconsistency to drive us crazy. In that combination, talent without dependability is what's been fueling all the debates, all the anxiety, and all the second-guessing around the Bills right now. The truth is, this team still controls its destiny. Everything they want is still right in front of them. The playoff push, the shot at the top seed, the chance to prove everyone wrong. But at some point, we need to see it. We need that stretch of games where the Bills play with the consistency and sharpness we know they're capable of. Because through 9 games, as much as we've seen glimpses of greatness, we've also seen long stretches of confusion. The good news? Even in the chaos, they've still managed to win. Maybe that's the silver lining. Maybe that's the reason for hope. That even when this team is messy, even when they're injured and inconsistent, they're still finding ways to stay alive in the race. So here's where things start to get interesting. When you strip away all the emotion and frustration, there are still some very real, practical things the Bills can do right now to get this offense back on track. And it starts with getting healthy. Dalton Kincaid needs to rest that hamstring because rushing him back before he's 100% would only make things worse. The same goes for Josh Palmer and anyone else dealing with lingering injuries. You can't build offensive chemistry when your key playmakers are in and out of the lineup. The Bills need their top weapons together, practicing together, and playing together, plain and simple. Once Kincaid's back, it changes everything. The spacing, the rhythm, the way defenses react. He's not just a tight end, he's a multiplier. Now, the next piece is about personnel usage. The Bills have to stop forcing roles that don't fit. Keon Coleman and Tyrell Shavers are hard workers, but they're not ready to be every down guys in this system. Every time the offense tries to run through them, you can feel the momentum stalling. They're not creating separation, they're not winning on the outside, and it's shrinking Josh Allen's options. Meanwhile, you've got guys like Curtis Samuel and Elijah Moore sitting there with the skill sets that this offense desperately needs. Quickness, route running, yards after the catch. Those two should be featured much more prominently. When you watch teams like the Rams or Seahawks, you see how they use versatile receivers to manipulate coverage and create easy throws. That's exactly what the Bills need to start doing again. And look, I know people have mixed feelings about Gabe Davis, but you can't ignore his chemistry with Josh Allen. He's had some inconsistent stretches, sure, but he's also produced some of the biggest moments in recent Bills history. You don't get that 4-touchdown game against Kansas City out of nowhere. There's a connection there, and it deserves to be revisited. If you give Gabe more defined routes and let him play within his comfort zone, he can still be a real contributor, especially in the red zone, where the Bills have struggled lately. The thing that's frustrating is that this offense wants to be one of the smartest in the league. It's designed for efficiency, not chaos. It's supposed to be about spacing, timing, and precision. But when you start seeing turnovers, sacks, and missed reads, it's because that efficiency has been replaced with improvisation. And Josh Allen, as amazing as he is, can only carry that style for so long. When he's out there dancing in the pocket, looking for the big play, it's exciting, but it's not sustainable. The best version of Josh is the one who trusts his reads, hits the open man, and keeps the chains moving. That's what separates great teams from good ones, the ability to stay on schedule. When you're constantly behind the sticks, when you're dealing with 2nd and long or 3rd and 10, even the most explosive quarterback in the league can't bail you out forever. And lately, that's been the Bills' biggest problem. Penalties, missed assignments, turnovers, they've all chipped away at that rhythm. Clean up those mistakes, and suddenly the entire playbook opens up again. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. There's a quiet but growing buzz around Orchard Park, and it's getting louder by the hour. Multiple league insiders are whispering that veteran wide receiver Tyler Boyd might soon find himself catching passes from Josh Allen. No official confirmation yet, of course, but where there's smoke, there's usually a front office phone call or two behind it. Boyd, long admired for his consistency and sharp route running, would instantly become a stabilizing force in a Bills offense that's still searching for its post-Diggs identity. Sources close to the situation describe the interest as real and developing, though the team remains predictably tight-lipped. What's driving the chatter is Allen's visible need for another reliable target, someone who can find soft spots in zone coverage and keep drives alive on 3rd down. And that's exactly what Boyd has built his career on. Some around the league believe the connection makes too much sense to ignore. The Bills' locker room is loaded with raw talent, but lacks that veteran voice in the receiver room. Boyd, entering what many consider his prime football IQ years, could fit the culture and the system seamlessly. He's been praised as a professional's professional, quiet, detailed, unselfish, the kind of player who elevates a unit just by doing his job right. The financial angle, of course, adds intrigue. The Bills aren't exactly swimming in cap space, meaning any potential move would require creativity or a little sacrifice elsewhere on the roster. Still, whispers suggest the front office has already run the math and found a pathway. They've had his name on the board for weeks, one anonymous scout claimed. Nothing is certain yet, but the energy around this rumor feels different, the kind that tends to precede an actual move. If Boyd does land in Buffalo, expect an immediate ripple through the AFC. Allen's arm with Boyd's precision, that combination could quietly reshape the Bills' offensive rhythm and give Buffalo's passing game the veteran heartbeat it's been missing. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.